They treat me like a son anywhere I go, and even though no one can tell, I still feel that I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. Leave me stranded, I know how to handle it all on my own. On my own.
Welcome back to Adventures with Claude. We are Philip and Darrelle travelling in our converted Citroen Relay campervan Claude.
This is video 15 of our first big European trip, and we're currently heading into Austria.
By the time this video is live, we would like to wish you a happy new year and ask that if you haven't yet, to make sure you hop onto the YouTube app and subscribe to our channel. We hope you're enjoying our videos. We do appreciate a like and some comments too.
This is an absolutely terrifying road.
Good morning. Well, we crossed over from Czechia yesterday into Austria, and we're in a town park up in a town called Bad Leonfelden. It was chilly last night, went down to -8. The park up is free, provided by the municipality. You can hear the snow crunching under my feet. Really good facility. There are no services. During the summer there's an outdoor swimming pool here, and you can use the showers in there, but obviously during the winter there ain't be nothing. It really is the most glorious view. The town's just over there. It's a very small town, nothing much to see. And so today we're heading down into Linz. It's currently -5, so yeah, once again we are water frozen. Job on the list, insulate the pipes, bit of lagging. So we've arrived in the Austrian city of Linz, and having mastered the tram service to get ourselves into the city centre, we're going to go and have a wander round. Not sure where we're staying tonight, because the park for night recommendation was a car park that frankly is not where we're going to be staying tonight. But we parked there and just come in for a wander. It would appear that Austria isn't that campervan friendly in terms of where you can and can't stop, and there are very few Stellplatz or camperplatz to use, so it's quite difficult. But we're heading towards Salzburg. We have a campsite booked in Salzburg. But for now, I'm going to wander around this Christmas market.
entered into a hallway. Must have been a market hall by the looks of it. It's absolutely beautiful, and it's basically being used as a cut through.
Linz is the capital of Upper Austria. It's a city on the Danube River. It's in the northernmost part of Austria, just on the border with Czechia. Originally an industrial town, a steel town. So Linz originated as a Roman fort near Lentia, established in the 1st century. The name reflecting the location at a bend in the Danube, with the Celtic root lentos, bendable. We're currently in the old town, and it's quite pretty. Linz has 7 Christmas markets spread around the town, and a rather complex pattern of opening hours. It's bitterly cold in the winter sunshine. Somehow the Christmas markets haven't got any music. So the first one we visited didn't have any music. This one doesn't appear to have any music. Very strange. So this particular market is the Advent market. It's located just outside the city's cathedral. The cathedral can sit up to 20,000 people, but it was only completed 100 years ago. It really is a huge space. And it's got 3 organs. The little shopping alleys are full of antique shops and cafes. So you can dress in the height of fashion here in Austria. Just about right for the Viennese waltz. I have to say, I'm not so sure about the shorts.
Oh, I think the shorts are really nice.
So this is the main shopping street here in Linz. And that's about the end of our brief excursion to Linz. It seems to be a city with a lot of history, but somehow they haven't let it out. And here's our tram back to Claude.
Nächster Halt. Next stop. Rudolfstraße.
Here we have the mighty river Danube, with Linz just in the background there. Doesn't look particularly blue though.
It's bluish.
Unlike my fingers and my nose, which are absolutely frozen.
Especially standing on this bridge with the wind whistling down the river. Oh!
I'm briefly going to mention that we do use Park for Night to find places to park rather than search for sites, as Park for Night tends to give more options than search for sites out of the UK. However, this was listed as a good place to stop. It did note that it was between 2 roads and the tram line, so it wasn't necessarily quiet. But the parking area really isn't suitable. The bays are not deep enough, and I think it would be very noisy. So you really do have to be prepared to look, assess, discount and move on. And we will reflect that in the review. It's also important, if you're using Park for Night or search for sites, that you do leave a review, because it's only through others' experience that you can learn.
We have just joined the motorway, heading towards Salzburg, towards our overnight stop at Traun. The motorways in Austria are all toll, so you have to buy a vignette. The vignette was €12.50. You can do it online, and that's for a vehicle under 3.5 tonnes. If your vehicle is over 3.5 tonnes, it's a little bit more complicated, and it records your mileage, so you have to do it slightly differently. But as we're under 3.5 tonne, we're absolutely fine with that.
As we came out of Linz yesterday, there was a sudden realisation that day in, day out, driving here, driving there, new experiences are quite exhausting. And so we were originally going to go to a place called Citroen to do some washing today, and then we'd found this park up and etc. Yada yada yada. Anyway, we decided not to do that and just come straight here. Now, we were thinking that this was just a car park, a Stellplatz or a Parkplatz. They're called Parkplatz in Austria. So we were just thinking, it was going to be a car park and not a great deal else. But what a superb place. So we're in a place called Schicklberg, and this is the Land Hotel at Schicklberg, and they have a Parkplatz. So there's the hotel, and we had a meal in the restaurant last night, which was absolutely superb. So 3 glasses of wine and a beer, and 2 main courses came to €53. Best thing was, we said, gluten-free, and he said, no problem. And indeed, there was no problem. It was delightful. So we had thick, freezing fog last night, but it's a lot warmer today, so I had an opportunity to do a little bit of tidying and cleaning, because that's one of the things you don't do when you're locked in, because it's too cold to go out.
It's finally warm enough to give Claude his good boy stickers. So he's due 2.
He is.
He's getting...
So he's got Czech Republic.
Czech Republic.
And...
Shut them down a bit more. And...
Austria.
He's not fully entitled to Austria yet because he's not been to a supermarket, but you have to take your chances when the weather's been like it has.
There you are. Well done, Claude.
Good boy, Claude. So, before we leave this lovely parking spot at Schicklberg, I just wanted to show you some of the other facilities. So, over here there is a tennis court. In there is the toilet, and there is also a bowling alley and an indoor children's playground. At the top of the hill there is an outdoor children's playground. But this is the most peculiar thing I have ever seen. It's an archery course. And in amongst the archery course, there are animal figurines. And as you go further down, there's a zebra. And it's just a little bit odd. So the first one has got, I think, rabbits and boar, and I think there's a badger at the far end. And then the second one down looks like a zebra and some sort of wild dog. Obviously it goes on and on and on. It's very strange. But incredible facilities. We paid €25 each yesterday to use the spa, which was for all day, and included the sauna and the swimming pool, and so that was really, really good. That's what we call extreme showering. The only problem we're having is getting water. So our next mission is to try and find water, because all the water has been turned off, obviously for the winter, understandably, but it does cause problems.
Good morning. Well, here we are, another day, another place. We're in the town of Stier. We are in an exciting overnight location, a car park. But that's all right. We found it. Park for night. Thank you very much. It was comfortable. It was quiet. I note on Park for Night there's a few comments about noise and people parking their cars. Well, you have to remember that you're parking in a car park. And it was all right. Didn't have to deploy security pandas, which is just as well. It's quite chilly today, and we're going to go for a walk into Stier. We're just walking down into the town here in Stier. The park up is just a 10-minute walk. Yeah, more sgraffito. They were into the sgraffito, weren't they? I was reading a tourist information blog yesterday about Stier, and it said Stier is a pretty town. Its roots are in history. However, it's a town that not many people visit. It's only 10 minutes off the motorway if you're coming through central Austria. And it is most definitely a pretty town.
I love little alleyways like this. You never know what you're going to find. Sometimes it doesn't pay off, very much so. Other times, like this, oh my goodness, this is incredible.
Stier has a history of clockmaking.
As I say, sometimes it pays off. Sometimes you end up in the hotel courtyard.
So there is a Christmas market here, but it only runs at the weekends, which is a bit of a shame. It looks magical even though it's closed. The architecture is extraordinary. Most of the facades here date back to around about the 1450s. So in the 1950s, Stier was known for its car manufacturing. And even today it's got links to car manufacturing, because it is where the BMW and Mini engines are manufactured. Not all the BMW engines, obviously, but certainly the Mini engines manufactured in Stier. The town of Stier is located at the confluence of two rivers, the Stier and the Enns, that both start their lives in the mountains of Upper Austria. Well, you've heard of food tourism. I think we're gluten-free tourists, and we found the easy gluten-free supermarket, so we're going to go in and have a look. So it's literally like a kiddie in a sweet shop. One of the problems is that gluten-free is great. It's really hard to get gluten-free. And I think this supermarket is a testimony to the fact that there are so many gluten-free products out there, and absolutely amazing that we can find them here. I think what is also interesting is that at home in the UK, gluten-free is very much treated as a bit of a medical issue. Well, judging by the amount of boxes that they're packing in here for shipment, it's not just a medical issue. Gluten intolerance is increasingly becoming commonplace. Dairy intolerance is not as well understood, and considering that so many of the world's populations are dairy intolerant, it makes it quite hard, because of course there are plenty of products that don't contain dairy. Unfortunately, a lot of the manufacturers of gluten-free products seem to think that butter and cheese are the staples of life. I should also say that Google Translate is an absolute boon when it comes to looking at ingredients. And even normal people should look at ingredients to see what there is in the food that they propose to put into their bodies. Because we have limited space, it's only a small haul, but a haul nevertheless.
The snack cupboard is a little bit on the full side already. The water in this river is absolutely crystal clear. It's so clean.
So Stier. I don't know why people don't visit it. It's a really pretty town. Really lovely. Highly recommended. About a 5-minute drive out of the town of Stier is a small town called Christkindl. In Christkindl there is a carved nativity. In fact, there are 2 carved nativities. One is an automaton and was created about 125 years ago. And then in the same building they have the most amazing diorama, which is also a nativity. This incredible mechanical nativity took approximately 40 years to build. It was built by a Czech citizen, Mr. Claude, who immigrated to Austria from Bohemia. He worked as a locksmith. There are 300 figures on the movable nativity, and they're carved from the wood of lime trees. The detail is absolutely incredible. In recent years, the nativity has been automated to run via electricity. It was originally designed to be moved using chains, axles, levers and gears, driven either by handle or by a bicycle. It's an extraordinary thing to see, and I'm sure the video doesn't do it justice. Just beneath the building where the nativities are displayed, so you can just see on our left hand side is the white building with the red roof, and that is where the nativities are, and to the right of that you will see a church. So we walk down the hill to the church and we can tell you a little bit more about that.
The outside of the church is beautiful, but when you get inside, it's even more spectacular. It was originally built around 1708, but the person who started building it never completed it, and then somebody came from the Tyrol to complete it. And inside is, above the altar, is the most incredible sculpture that represents a Christmas carol from the Tyrol. The idea being that at Christmas the sky opens and the angels tumble out of the sky. There's even a post office where you can get your Christkindl postmark on your Christmas cards.
Our park up for tonight is here at Christkindl. Another car park. Doesn't look to be the most level in the world. And we are going to go in and have a cup of tea because it's quite chilly. But should be peaceful tonight, I imagine. Unless the crows come out and decide to be hungry. So we're in the town of Mondsee in Austria. We're about 40 kilometres from Salzburg, which is our destination from the 4th of December for 3 nights, because we're going to go to the Salzburg Christmas markets, and on the 5th of December the Krampus run. More about that later. In our effort to find Christmas markets, we've managed to find one that's closed yet again. The thing with Austria is that Christmas markets do tend to run Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They're not all week affairs. But there is something else in Mondsee that we've come to see. So let's go and see if we can find it. But the town square is very pretty. We're definitely in snow country here. As you can tell by the overhangs on the roofs, very alpine. So now we have evidence of a Christmas market. One of the things that they do is, I think you can see in front of this stall here, is a heater. So these are wood burners. And the wood burners are pulled out into the centre with tables around them. Why? Because it's flipping freezing. Imagine having one of those hung on your front door.
I don't think our front door's big enough.
It's a Christmas elf. I think it's evident about how cold it is. The tree has to have very big balls. Well, there we are. You can grab your holy water here. Suggested donation €1 a bottle. So this is the Basilica of St Michael here in Mondsee. And the one thing we haven't done since we've been in Austria is make reference to perhaps one of the most famous connections that everybody would have heard of, and that is The Sound of Music. And this is where they filmed the wedding. What a stunning altar.
Right in the middle, you can see the mummified remains of a former priest of this basilica.
Nice.
That wasn't in The Sound of Music.
The hills are alive with the sound of the mummified remains of the priest. It's a notable feature of the various Catholic cathedrals, basilicas and churches that we have visited. All the little side altars, heavily decorated. I'm relying on the camera because the light is very dim in here. And if you're in need of a nativity, they've got plenty. And of course your nativity would not be complete without your baby Jesus, available in many different sizes. The other thing with Mondsee is that it is on the edge of the Mondsee Lake, which is absolutely stunning.
I do think this would be a lovely place to come in the summer. It's absolutely stunning, but also extremely cold.
If we didn't know the truth and we hadn't been nearly to it, I would say it was Baltic. We didn't get close enough to the Baltic to allow me to say that.
It wasn't that cold there though, was it?
No.
This area is also listed on the UNESCO World Heritage Sites because of the pile houses that used to be built here. They were basically houses built on stilts in the marshy land around the lake. Unfortunately, the museum is closed. It's only open May to November, so it's long since closed. Why are you making seal noises?
The ducks.
Well, ducks don't make seal noises, do they? They quack. I very much doubt the microphone heard you call me quackers.
Mondsee was a very pretty town, and it's incredible what you can do with film editing. So the interior of the church in Mondsee was the location where they filmed Captain Von Trapp and Maria's wedding. Our last camp now before Salzburg is at Camp Austria. We were so excited to find an open campsite which boasted water and showers and all the facilities that you need. It was a bit run down, it was a bit closed, but a very beautiful location. We eventually managed to get warm water for the showers, and they pulled a hose out of the kitchen to provide us with fresh water. Please do continue to follow our next video, which will be Salzburg. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe.
They treat me like a son anywhere I go, and even though no one can tell, I still feel that I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. I'm alone. Leave me stranded, I know how to handle it all.